Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This will be a
Hey,
fantastic evening of great wine, great people. This Zoom right here is absolutely a interactive experience, although I am muting some of you right now just so I don't get so much feedback. But do have an order for the process. We're going to go from our Chardonnay producers to our Pinot Noir producers to our Rhone producers. So Rhone producers, if you give us a few minutes, we'll get there. But we got a lot of ground to cover tonight. We got some great people on the Zoom to discover if you met them before, and lots of questions. And one of my favorite things, all of the action on the chat box. So if you go into your chat box, just start saying hello to people, that'd be great. Making comments about the wine, questions about the wine. The winemakers will look at the chat box. Ari, I believe you're on the Zoom right now. If you could paste in the link to the auction website, that would be helpful. If you'll put that into the chat box as well. All right, let's see who's here tonight. I'm just going to give it another moment before we kick off the program, just because things are happening. I'm checking the inbox and I'm making sure that everyone gets on board. They're doing some, I love it when you get an Apple update and nothing works the way it used to. That's kind of what's happening right now at Zoom. And Zoom, if you're listening, please stop. Everything was working just fine. I've gotten a record number of calls today from people that can't get in or having issues. So if you were one of those people, apologize to you. We literally had nothing to do with it, but we are so happy you're here. And remember, if we do have a technical glitch or an issue, I always try to pair this event at the same time on Facebook. The page is Merchant of Wine on Facebook. You can go there. If you miss tonight or any part of it, you can go back there and watch it anytime. It'll live there forever. My mistakes included. So let's get started. Thanks for joining us. We got a lot of ground to cover and we've got some amazing talent on the Zoom tonight. So let's dive right in. And we start off with my friend, Jeff Nelson. Jeff, are you out there?
I'm here. How are you, Ian?
Hey, good, buddy. I'm looking for you to keep talking to me because it'll light up on my screen and I'll be able to highlight you. Or
I'm here somewhere.
wave at me. So, you see it. Can't see you.
We got orange on. You can't miss me.
Oh, there you are.
The Clico Orange Days, Ian.
Yes. Jeff and I have known each other a very long time. We've done some criminal things together and had a lot of fun. And we're still here to tell about, or maybe not to even tell anybody about it because it's stuff nobody needs to know, but it was great fun.
Back in the 90s, right? Mid 90s. Yeah.
And Jeff is just, it's so fantastic to see how great your brand is doing. And I got to tell you how great the wines are. I mean, every time I pop a bottle of Liquid Farm Chardonnay, which is wine number one in your order tonight, everybody, it is so exciting to see what's happening. And we carry the Rosé as well and the Pinot Noir. And I'm just going to alert you now that the wine that we're tasting tonight is the 18. And you just rolled into the 19. So we are rolling into the 19 as well. So we got a couple bottles of 18 and then lots of 19, which just got 95 points, Jeff. Congratulations. That's amazing. For Chardonnay, 95 points from Santa Barbara. That's top score.
Yeah, well, we're honored to be in the area with some great people that you're going to have on today. Obviously, Chris and Bruno, some legends in the area. Of course, Matt Dees and Ernst and Paul. So we're honored to be part of the group. It's great to see you. I watched you. Obviously, you've had Learn About Wine probably since the early 90s. And so I've kind of watched you do your thing. And it's great to see you still looking good and young and having me on. So I do appreciate it. But yeah, we're honored to be in this area. It's our focus was Chardonnay only when I started. We said we'd never make a red wine, but we decided to to do that in 2014, a small amount of Pinot Noir in 14, but really the focus has always been on Chardonnay and trying to make this area really the top area, to rival Burgundy in the world. And I think with what we have here with the soils and the climate, Santa Rita Hills really is, was known for Pinot Noir because of Sideways, but I think that movie, obviously, there needs to be another movie out with Chardonnay maybe, but the Pinot Noir boom, basically because of Sideways, being in the wine business as long as we have, we kept thinking Pinot Noir would hit at some point. But it took really a movie to make it hit, unfortunately. But Chardonnay again really is, in my opinion, is the king and queen of Santa Rita Hills. And again, it's really the soils and the climate, and some great people with some great vineyards out here. Again, Matt Dees represents quite a few that we work with. And so we're honored to be out here. The Golden Slope is our kind of our.
Give me 1 second, bro.
Sure.
Here's on a little map, a little intro, in case those of you that are, because we've got people zooming from all over the place, and can't even assume that everyone's even been to Santa Barbara and knows exactly where that might be, but it's just north of Los Angeles. It's considered our greatest local wine region, and there's reasons for that. There's this crazy westerly direction that the mountain ranges kind of channel this wind in from the ocean, and it's the only growing region in California that has east to west mountain ranges rather than north to south. And so that's a really interesting part of the dynamic. And when we talk about Santa Rita Hills, of course, we're in this purple zone. We got Solvang kind of stretching everywhere, and little things happening in Solvang and pieces of it starting to get a little bit more focused in places like Ballard Canyon getting its own appellation recently, Los Olivos, and we're out here in Happy Canyon. Someday we'll have Los Alamos as an AVA, and Santa Maria is up here as well. So lots of dynamic things happening in the Santa Barbara AVA area, and that's just because more and more quality wines are really making very specific wines, and no one's really focused on just making Santa Barbara wines anymore. It's more about singularity in the vineyards, but everyone needs to remember where Santa Barbara is and what makes it so special. And Jeff is our featured guest up here first, and a good friend of mine for a long time. And we're going to taste his 2018 Golden Slope. And Jeff, let's get in there now and talk about what got you started, and also specifically about this amazing wine, which I get to try in a brand new Zalto glass tonight for the first time. We just started selling Zalto glasses, so I'm going to give them a test run.
Nice. Well, we'll see if there's any flaws, obviously, in those glasses. Pick up just about everything, which is great. I started the winery in 2009, started with 4 barrels. I ate local in Los Angeles, but didn't drink local necessarily, mostly Burgundy and Champagne. I worked for Champagne producers for about 18 years. Veuve Clicquot in the mid 90s, worked with Laurent Perrier for many years, and then Champagne Henriot. So Champagne's really kind of my weak spot, I guess. And I know when I met Ian, he was with Taittinger at the time. And I probably was with Clicquot, who knows who I was with. But the idea of trying to produce something locally was really the goal for me. And something that's obviously close to LA. Temecula, sorry for anybody that's in the Temecula area. That wasn't really on my radar, but thankfully through Brandon Sparks Gillis, Dragonet Cellars really kind of alerted me to the area. And when you really get into, again, what you mentioned about the transverse mountain range, the soils, the diatomaceous earth, the cool climate, it's really, this area is really special for Chardonnay. I think it's the closest you're going to get to Burgundy in this area. So our focus right off the bat was Chardonnay only, and really to focus in in that area. That's Ballard right there. I love that little drive there. But yes, so the goal was really to produce Chardonnay that I wanted to drink locally. And it started with 4 barrels in 2009 and 2 barrels. Harvest was October 5th, 2009. It was 33 degrees out. I remember that. It was freezing. And it was Kessler Hawk was our first vineyard that we worked with in 2009. 2 barrels. So harvest was, everything was the same, neutral barrel, only 4 barrels, which as we all know is not much. It's about 25 cases each barrel. 2 barrels went lean on their own and 2 went richer on their own. And everybody wanted me to bottle all 4 barrels together and just do, one bottling from Kessler Hawk. But in my palette with Burgundy, the 2 really were that lean kind of minerality, that Chablis-esque feeling, and the other were a little bit, the other 2 barrels a little richer, a little more Merceau, Genevieve-esque. So that's kind of where I started with that. I had to come up with names. So White Hills for the love of the limestone, and Chablis, also the diatomaceous earth that's runs throughout a lot of Santa Rita Hills. And then also Golden Slope is for the love of the Côte d'Or of Burgundy. So Slope of Gold, a little bit of a nod both to Burgundy without trying to be overly Burgundy, which we're not, of course. But of course, that is the goal, is to produce wines that rival Burgundy.
That's always a great goal. And if you have that guiding target, you continue to move towards it. And at some point you might wake up and you're there. You've got some spectacular scores. I know Burgundy would love to have on some of their wines and at price points that are, half or maybe a third of comparable products. So, at some point we may get that justification, but maybe that's more of a personal journey, Jeff. We might need to get some specialists to help you.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think, I had over the Christmas holiday, I ended up pulling some Chevalier, Montrachet, La Cabote Chevalier as well. And I had an 07 and 04. And they were both over the hill. They were pre-moxed and not worth drinking. So, and they were obviously very pricey bottles. We again, being with Henriot for as many years as I had, worked with Joseph Henriot at Veuve Clicquot. He was the largest shareholder and the international president at Clicquot, and got to know him and his family. And one thing that I took away, besides lots of things, was really the cork. So we use a cork, DM or DIAM, DIAM, that really helps to reduce any pre-mox or any issues with cork bottle variation being the big thing. So we really try to take every aspect of what we do and drill down and try to make it the best experience for obviously ourselves first. That's number one. And if we like it, then hopefully everybody else likes it as well.
So I saw that you are making a number of single vineyard Chardonnays as well, but this is the Golden Slope that we're tasting tonight. And this is kind of the driver, right? This is what you make. This is your primary production.
Yeah, the Golden Slope is probably, she's kind of the Goldilocks of everything. She kind of gets hidden really in the middle. I think it's the best wine that James, our head winemaker, and he has been with me for almost 10 years now. But this wine, I think we put a lot of attention into. We always have from the very beginning, and still do to this day. So it's the White Hill is really our driver, and that's the more Chablisian style. We bottle that after 10 months, and then Golden Slope is bottled longer, ages longer, so 15 months for Golden Slope, and sees a little bit of new oak. Seems about 18% new oak, and the rest is neutral barrel. And then again, White Hill is all neutral barrel, a little bit of stainless, and that's 10 months. So really the complexity of being aged longer in barrel and having that oxidative interaction with oxygen really allows the wines to kind of layer out a little bit. Obviously, the oak we use is very special as well. Been over to the cooperage to visit over there in Meursault. Also bottled actually a champagne from France out of Les Menil about 2 or 3 years ago. I went over there and spent a few days with a producer through a friend of mine that was the rosé winemaker at Clicquot, who's now the cellar master at Renart, and was able to work with a small family. So we do a small amount of 100% Grand Cru champagne from Champagne region, which would go great with those glasses that you have. Yeah, so Golden Slope really is, I think, the one that definitely gets some attention, but is not the one that you see necessarily everywhere. For exposure for us would be the White Hill and the Rosé.
And your rosé, which congratulations for making a great California rosé, because that is no easy feat. But you've definitely tapped into some really fantastic ideas, and you surround yourself with amazing people, like you mentioned, the Dragonette team and all those guys. And it's so great to see all of you kind of sharing and elevating the game. And I know we are all really appreciative of how good the wines have gotten. So I want to thank you, Jeff, for joining us. And I see a lot of comments, a lot of praise for the wine happening in the chat box. So check it out. And if you have any questions for Jeff, if you wouldn't mind landing those in the chat, and Jeff, if you could answer a few of those for us, or just say thanks, sayonara. But
yeah, thank you, everybody. I see there's some familiar faces, so I really appreciate all the support. We're a small team, and you come visit us in Los Olivos. We've got a tasting room here that we built out in 2019, I think it was May, and it's a little bit more of a casual experience than your normal tasting room or just a bar. So great designer, good friend of mine who's a furniture maker. And so feel free, we'd love to have you guys, but it's great to see familiar faces as well as yours, Ian. And we're honored to be here. So thank you very much.
Well, it means a lot to have you participate, and know that this friend here is definitely taking the friendship seriously. I carry everything I can afford to carry for everybody, and we're going to be a much bigger customer in the years to come, to follow here, as we're really getting bigger and better and stronger.
It's all good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Take care, bud.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff. And that is Liquid Farm, and you got to get up there and hang out with Jeff and see what he's talking about. He's got a beautiful tasting room. We showed some of those pictures in the slideshow, and it's a great experience to get to go up there and see him. And he's making some wonderful wines across the spectrum, and that's what I'm continuing to see in Santa Barbara. Is we're kind of getting Santa Barbara 3.0 right here. We're getting layers of wisdom starting to stack on top of each other, with the winemakers really kind of pulling together, sharing information, and reaching out to each other. And our next winemaker is a fantastic story too. So let me introduce Ernst Storm.
Hi guys.
There you are.
I'm live. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I'm gonna spotlight you there. And Jeff, I'll take yours off so you can relax a little bit there. How are you, Ernst?
Pretty good yourself.
Outstanding. Who's sitting next to you?
Roma.
Hello. I got you're a little quiet on your side. The vocals aren't super clear, and I'm not sure. You might have to bring that computer just a little bit closer to you so we can hear you nice and clearly.
How does it sound now?
It's a little better with you closer.
Okay, here we go.
Give it your best. Give it your best. Ernst, you tell us your background. How did you get it to Santa Barbara? Where are you from? All that good stuff. And your lovely wife.
Not my wife.
That's what I thought I heard you say. That's why I said we got problems here. Sorry.
No, so Vilma is our national sales manager.
Ah, very good. Hello.
And
Very good.
yeah, so we thought we'd tag team you guys tonight.
Outstanding, Ernst. And tell us about how you got to Santa Barbara and where you're from and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm South African. Grew up in South Africa. Studied wine out there, and in 2003, I wanted to explore something different. Came out to California to do a harvest, and really fell in love with the area. I came down to Santa Barbara and saw a lot of similarities between the area I was from, the Walker Bay area in South Africa, and yeah, the rest is history. I found a job here, and I was able to build my brand, and along the way meet people like Drew Duncan, and we started Tonica. You know, so it's been a very it's been a good ride. It's been very educational, and yeah, it's every year I have to pinch myself and say, like, I'm very extremely lucky to be here, and you know, work with good vineyards and good things. Yeah, so making wine in Santa Barbara, cool climate, classic wines, you know, and yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, the sound keeps getting better. I'm not sure what just happened, but something you tweaked on your side is absolutely working better. So it's coming in clearer. Thank you. And of course, we're going to stay in Santa Barbara. This map might just keep popping up for our long video usage. But Donica, tell us about the name.
Yeah, so Donica is Scottish Gaelic for Duncan. Started a project that's been lost with Duncan, and yeah, it means a lot to them. Family name. You know, we spoke about it a lot today. You know, like how organic this whole process has been. You know, Drew searched, you know, for more than a decade for a perfect spot, and his eyes were open to, you know, to wines in the early 2000s from this area that really showcase what we can do, what we're able to do. You know, as far as making wines that are classic and really rival Burgundy. And you know, I think
it's a common theme tonight. Everyone's inspired by Burgundy. Obviously, you know, a region that is, you know, near and dear to the passion button, and all of us in the wine business are passionate because we've had great wine experiences. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Ernst, but the audio kind of keeps going in and out, and but I'm going to just kind of give you the space to see if it comes back and fixes everything. But you got two main vineyards here. You got the hillside block and the riverside block. How long have these vineyards been planted?
These vineyards were planted in 2012 and 2013. You know, unique thing about Donica is that it's north facing, and there's a lot of clay. The aspects, you know, we're obviously in that corridor of a lot of ocean influence, which is great. You know, we set out from the beginning to learn about each block, about each clone, and you know, I think it's important for us to like learn every year and have this become more intuitive for winemaking. The vineyard, the fact that there's a lot of clay has taken really well. The roots are well developed, and yeah, we're able to make these wines that really capture this little site, which is amazing.
Couple shots here in our slideshow just to kind of bring you into the Donica operation. And it's, you know, everything that is done in Santa Barbara to make wines of this quality tend to involve a lot of manual processes. There's a little bit of help from some technology, but it's a lot of handwork, a lot of biceps, back muscles, and a lot of good people, a lot of good hands coming together. The selection process in the vineyard, and these guys are working the same vineyards every year. They get to know the vines, they work them all year long, and you get some, better choice fruit to work with, knowing that the standard is very high, because you draw the line and say, this is not good and this is good. And then you get only the parts of the vineyard picked that hit that standard. A beautiful exposition here on the slope. And this is obviously your hillside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now you, unfortunately, you're completely, I'm not able to hear you at all. So I apologize for stepping on top of you there. But this is the 94 point 2019 estate Chardonnay that we're tasting, and you do make both an estate and a non-estate Chardonnay, and they're fairly different price points. The estate being the vines that you grow yourself on your immediate property there that we were looking at, and this is a top scoring wine as well. I love the label. I think it's super cool. Ernst, if we could try the audio one more time, what techniques are you employing to bring about such a experiential wine? I mean, I know a lot of people say they're hands-off winemaking and stuff, but obviously your hands are all over this and you're punching down and you're working it. But is it the lack of oxygen, the type of container, the type of yeast strand? Is it a million things that you're doing in small ways that really craft this wine? Because there's so much going on here.
Yeah. I'd say like Chardonnay is one of those wines where I feel like if you're going for this style, the picking decision is the most important decision we make. So we spend a lot of time in the vineyard leading up to making that decision, to where we capture a lot of acid. The rest is relatively simple. We at the winery we typically do a little foot stomp, and we oxidize the juice for the first day as much as we can, and we settle for a day, and then ferment natively in barrel. It's I think it comes down to the site and the picking decision. I think those are the two most important things we do. And now that we have 6 vintages under our belt, we know what to expect. We have a better understanding of each block. But yeah, this Chardonnay is all site. We're able to retain a lot of acid and minerality and freshness, and again, just keeping it really simple. We age the wine for about 10-11 months in French oak, with a certain percentage of new oak, and then we age it another 5-6 months in stainless steel, which gives us kind of that nice reductiveness. So we try to keep it relatively simple, and make something that really capture the site.
Well, I just said, I really think that, both you and the prior wine from Jeff Nelson Liquid Farm, there's definitely some new ideas here in Chardonnay that I think you guys have captured, and it's not going to be long until a lot of other producers start to emulate your style. And so I really think it's going to go forward in this, improved, focused, very pure, very clean, very delicate, wonderful subtlety in these wines. And I think that's really going to improve the Chardonnay market. It's going to bring Chardonnay back. I think it's already there. And these are just two exceptional examples that we get to taste back to back that show you the future of Chardonnay.
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that climate change is happening, and Burgundy is scarce, Burgundy is expensive, and that Santa Barbara County offers a very, very, very good alternative at a way better price point. And I think we're gonna be around for a long time, which is exciting. We can make wines that have this kind of focus and freshness to it year after year.
Beautiful. Well, I also want to thank you guys. You gave a very generous offering to the auction. There's a 6-bottle lot of the Chardonnay on the auction. 100% of the dollars get placed through the 501c3, and they go to Children's Hospital Los Angeles. We direct the funds to Children's Cancer Research. And we've been involved with Children's Hospital for many, many years, and we just passed over the I think we just passed 675,000 to Children's Hospital. So in our collective efforts. So we appreciate the producers for donating this wine, this auction lot, and appreciate you guys bidding on it, because every time you bid, it increases the donation. So bid early, bid often. If you lose, you've helped raise money just by bidding. But there's going to be no better way to buy some Chardonnay for the house than to get it from the auction. Second best way would be to buy it from us or the wineries. But we all appreciate you guys, and we just want to raise a little bit of funds for the charity tonight. So thanks for playing. Ernst and Velma, thank you very much. I'm sorry to I didn't realize that was you in there, Velma. I've never met you in person, but someday I will be up to see you guys. And thanks for allowing us to taste your amazing wine in this lineup tonight. And you guys are pretty close to the highway when you get off here, a little bit closer on the map anyway. Is there do you have a tasting room there that's open, or is it by appointment?
So we're in the process of opening a tasting room here in Los Olivos.
Okay.
It's going to be late spring, early summer.
Okay.
And yeah, it's actually going to be right across from our tasting room. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we will send some friends. Okay. And if any of you want to go to Santa Barbara, and any of you want to see any of the producers that are on the Zoom today, I'm always flattered when you give me an email and let me help you get that done. I'll make other recommendations, restaurants, other kind of stuff. So take me up on that. And thank you guys for being on the Zoom tonight and allowing everybody to learn about Donica.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Well, I'm sorry, Ernst, too. You had to get so close to the TV or the computer to be able to, but it did end up bed there.
Oh, good. It's my old computer.
Yeah, it's time for an upgrade, buddy.
Yeah.
But it worked out, so we thank you. Our next visit is with Bruno D'Alfonso and Chris Curran. These two are amazing characters and have long been in my list of recommendations to go and visit. They're both highly acclaimed winemakers that have had exceptional careers individually. They have been a couple for a long time. They're incredibly nice to each other, to kind of a wonderfully exemplary couple, and yet they're so unique and have some amazing ideas. And so then with that, today is Chris's birthday. So we recorded with her just a couple of days ago, and I'm going to play the recording, and you can taste the D'Alfonso Santa Barbara Pinot Noir with Chris Kern and Bruno D'Alfonso. All right, next up on our Santa Barbara special, our great friends, folks that I've been able to have some amazing life experiences with, and really kind of the pinky and the brain of Santa Barbara. Chris Curran and Bruno D'Alfonso, thank you so much for joining us. I love you guys, and it's so great to see you. I want to encourage, everyone that's watching this, being a participant, to come and go and visit some of these folks that are on the show. And you never walk away quite the same way after a visit to Chris and Bruno's tasting room. It's just really a fantastic spot I refer people to all the time. And tonight we're probably going right down the center lane, showing off one of your Pinot Noirs. That's something you do very well, and I've seen different iterations. This is a fantastic Santa Barbara ambassador for Pinot Noir. So when we started putting this together, this was kind of like the first wine I put into the stack. I said, okay, we're going to build around this one right here. Of course, we're in the Santa Rita Hills. And how many acres do you guys have out there?
We are on 2,700 acres. That is part of the original Santa Rosa land grant, that piece that was broken off back in the 1800s. And so our winery and our house are both on the property. We don't own anything other than wine and winery equipment.
I see. So you're residents of the property.
We are residents of the property, yes.
Very good.
We've been here since 2000. First vintage was 2007.
Oh, wow. Well, it seems longer than that to me, but
well, we moved in in 2001, right before I opened up Sea Smoke out in Lompoc. And so it was fortunate because we moved in August of 2001, and 2001 was Sea Smoke's first vintage.
excellent. Yeah. When you visit the winery, it's just a really great industrial space and allows for you guys to play with a lot of fun ideas. And it looks like he's working with some dry ice. Is that Pinot Noir?
That is Pinot Noir. That is looks like it's actually it says Rancho La Vigna on it, so it must have been our small production of Rancho La Vigna. We also do small production of Sanford and Benedict in bins because they're too small to get up on our jackets on our larger red wine fermentation tanks, which are outside.
So the dry ice lowers the temperature and has kind of a protective gas release there, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be putting your hand in that.
Right.
Oh.
And how many different Pinot Noirs will you make in a year?
Oh, currently we're probably doing, we do the Santa Barbara County, we do Rancho La Vigna, we have a Rancho La Vigna, a reserve type of wine. So sometimes we'll do different cultivars. So we have currently 115, 667, and a 777. So we could bottle those separately. We tend to like to do the balance together. Each cultivar brings in a different component to the blend of Pinots. So we probably can do anywhere. And then we have Sanford and Benedict. We'll probably get around six different Pinots usually.
Well, when you visit, you also see a number of different projects that you guys take on. How many grape varieties are you working with at this time? Do you guys even know?
I think this year we are at about 16 different grape varietals.
Well, awesome. So what is your how do you describe this Pinot Noir when people pick this up and they're looking at it in the glass? What is it that you want them to see and experience here in your Santa Barbara County Pinot Noir?
I think the most important thing is to really understand or to see that it's when we're making wine, we don't want to see any flaws. We want something that is fruity, yet is extremely well balanced with tannins, good acid, nothing flabby, and just really a well-rounded, it's just like what you want to see in people. You want to see well-rounded people. They have interests, they engage you. That's what we want to see in our wines. That's what I want to see in my wines.
Outstanding. And Santa Barbara as a Pinot location, the signature elements of Pinot Noir from Santa Barbara is, I really think it presents, something that's very consistent, that's very dependable and unique, but also kind of optimal. And that's why Santa Barbara has become such a great Pinot Noir destination, because it really takes this thin-skinned grape variety and gives it something that other parts of the world just cannot capture. And it's probably 1,000 different little things that kind of come together to make that happen. But we have a pretty aggressive price available for the people that are watching this show. But it is a go-to wine for me. I use it in my classes and my Pinot seminars and stuff like that. And it served me very well. And when this vintage is gone, we'll be rolling into the next one. So you can count on it being in my store as a benchmark wine of Santa Barbara.
Well, thank you for backing us up there and for supporting us. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
I wish I could do more. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. I thank you very much for being here. And I can't wait to see you again. Come get up and visit Chris and Bruno and make sure you eat before you get there.
Yes, but we always tell people the winery is about the wines. So the winery temperature is kept extremely cold. So it might be 80 degrees outside, and it's going to be about 47, maybe 52 inside. So come wearing a parka.
And you're gonna taste,
yes, and eat before you
21. So
there's no food on this road.
And we want you to be the first here on your adventure in the valley, simply because I don't want to have to re-educate what you just learned at another winery. So you come to us first, and then you can go and play the rest of the wineries as much as you want.
Thank you guys. I hope you have a
Thank
great
you,
Sunday.
Ian.
Happy
Thank you,
birthday.
Well, thank you and Happy New Year.
Yes, happy New Year. Hope everything goes well.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So we edited the video obviously to fit it into the 8-minute time frame, because I believe that 8-minute recording took me about a half hour with those two. You cannot stay on time if you're going to go to see those two or talk to them on Zoom even. And it worked out great that we got to record with them because we got to fit them into a segment. But you don't want to leave either, so it works out pretty well. And they just keep pouring on the love and pouring you different wines. You probably would taste 20 wines at their winery. So eating before you get there, because you won't walk if without it. But they have a lot of fun with you, and they're just really wonderfully outspoken and knowledgeable. There's 4 degrees between the two of them in winemaking. And so they've got a lot of experience that they share. And Bruno can also say some stuff that will absolutely floor you once in a while. So he's quite entertaining. Well, let's get into wine number 4. And I saw Matt's lovely face there on the Zoom audience. Where's Matt at? There he is. Yeah, let me replace the spotlight there, put Matt up there. All right. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. And you are such a champion winemaker, and we love having you on the Zooms and being able to learn from you. And you have a number of different projects that you oversee, Mail Road being one of them. some great Syrah from another project, and a bigger project called Honada that you're the winemaker for, and the wines that you generate there. You've got an incredible resume. How long have you been in Santa Barbara?
20 years.
Really?
Yeah, Ernst and I, my buddy Ernst, he kind of showed up at the same vintage, man, right? I think it was 04. Yeah, we showed up. I started coming down here in 03, and yeah, took over Honada in June of 04. My goodness, time flies when you're having fun. By the way, shout out, one of the beautiful things about Santa Barbara that no one talks about enough is that all of us are good buddies. Such a young, like, cool region. Like, I see my friends from Come Into Dreams. I see Paul Lotto's coming on, Chris and Bruno, Jeff. Like, the whole crew is lovely, and it makes life so much better to work with people you respect and love, and like spending time with, and like going on Zoom and seeing their smiling faces. It's cool. And Vilma, who I haven't seen for a long time, but yeah,
Vilma, who's not Ernst's wife.
that was like, I don't think they're married. I don't want to be the one to say it, but
I swear that's what he said when but it was like, work about my wife. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Wilma. Well, that kind of stuff happens on Zoom. Talking about. Well, Mail Road is such an interesting project, and can you tell us a little bit of background about it? Because I should probably open up the slideshow and get us in there, so you can take it from there.
Yeah, Santa Barbara is a pretty young region, right? I mean, the wonderful and amazing Richard Sanford, Michael Benedict planted that vineyard, Sanford Benedict, in 71 or 72. It depends who you ask. Memories are quick to fade in those early 70s years, but that was kind of the beginning, right? There's Nielsen, which was planted in 64. So we haven't had that many years to really establish that many legendary sites. But when I think of like the pantheon of great vineyards in Santa Barbara County for Pinot Noir, Sanford Benedict's up there because it's got 50 years of track record. I put Mount Carmel up there as well. I think, Faciega's up there. I think places like Donica will be up there. I think, Bent Rock and Radiant will be up there. I think Peak and Domaine de la Côte and La Barge, all these places will be there. But Carmel is just one of those places that, Jim Clendennin's wines, the brilliant Brian Babcock, what Greg Brewer and Steve Clifton did for a decade. Those wines are still some of the greatest wines out of Santa Barbara County, period, like full stop. Chardonnay and Pinot. The site itself is about as extreme as it gets. The history is you can't make it up. Like, it's that ridiculous. But for anyone who's been up there before, it was a monastery. In the late 80s, a group of nuns went up to build what was going to be originally a fairly quiet, obviously, but a fairly reserved building for whatever they were up to up there. And then it kind of spread out, and it got a little luxurious, and eventually they kind of ran out of money, and the project just halted. And there's this massive monastery up there, and the nuns still lived on site, and they still do, but it was abandoned. And so it's this gigantic haunted, it's full of bats and mountain lions now, but you have this view looking over the entirety of the Santa Rita Hills in this haunted kind of monastery behind you. And the nuns helped plant the vineyard with Ron and Nancy Piazza, who are literally the kindest people and the most passionate people I've run into in this industry. Everything kind of comes together, and it's just legendary. You drive up there and you feel it. It's defined by exposure, and it's pretty extreme. It's south facing. So in the Northern Hemisphere, when you're a south facing slope, you're getting all the sunshine. It's a really Californian, like Santa Barbara site to me. It's blown by the wind. It's on diatomaceous earth. It gets warm. Everything about it is just so extreme. But the wines themselves have always been, I don't know, I always call them like chameleon wines. I think they change from the way you approach them aromatically. What your mind goes to as your first sense is smell, first approach, and you immediately think, oh boy, this is going to be monstrous, right? It's going to be jammy and just huge. but then it switches on the palate and it does not quite a U-turn, but it really does a pretty sharp right angle. And it becomes very earth driven. It becomes very structurally solid, right? I wanted to bring something tonight that had some age on it, because the Pinots from Mount Carmel tend to need, 7 to 10 years before they really open up. Go check out Greg Brewer's Pinots from the early 2000s from this site. They're blossoming right now. And I wanted to show a little bit of the earthy character that comes out. And 15 was this really funny vintage, by the way. There's that haunted ass monastery. It's crazy. And there's the site. You can see how kind of lunar it is in a way. It's up about 500-foot elevation, and you can just you can see the wind blowing in that picture. But, the 15 vintage was one where Mother Nature took all of our fruit before we even got out of the gate. A series of unfortunate events in the springtime, and we had just berries that were about BB size. We had yields that were really tiny. Haunting and haunted, by the way, good question. And then it got really hot. Everything got even more concentrated, and the wines for a long time were overly tannic, I'd say. Overall in Santa Rita Hills, the 15 Pinots were always structurally massive. And luckily, unbeknownst to us at the time, but the fruit was big enough and powerful enough and dense enough and chewy enough that if we waited long enough, like with this 15, they become remarkably graceful, elegant wines. And I love drinking this tonight.
I loved that you just segued that way. You are so good at this. And 15 is a jewel, and these and that's what's really kind of cool about Mail Road too, is as a subscriber and you belong to their club, you can get offerings back to the first couple of vintages, and or you can just stay current. And these wines are built for long haul, and they definitely perform. Single site and just really, really specific. And it's you've been the winemaker the whole time, right, Matt?
Yeah, since we became an estate program. In 12, we took the fruit back, and Ron and Nancy really wanted to make their own estate project. And I jumped on board because I really love being involved in estate projects where you're growing the fruit, you're harvesting the fruit, you're doing everything from start to finish. That's really been our goal with Carmel. And it's funny, the way I've always approached winemaking is, you take a site and you start dancing, right? And you kind of figure out the steps and you figure out which way you're going. And every vineyard that I have the pleasure of working with, and I've had the pleasure of working with this special site now for 11 years, I guess it is. It became they're the loudest voices. They have the strongest kind of approach, and everything is so defined. And so I remember picking in 12, and only thing I knew about this vineyard were Greg's wines and Brian Babcock's wines, and we picked the Pinot in 12, and it told us what it wanted to do, basically, not to over romanticize it, but it came in and was just really ripe and silky and soft and powerful and succulent and savory and salty and all the things I love about Pinot in Santa Rita Hills. And we said, oh, okay, that's the wine we're going to make, and I love that purity, simplicity, the kind of soil to glass translation that's clear and doesn't leave anything to be confused. But yeah, the site, I can't say enough about it. If you get a chance, everyone should go up there. We don't have a tasting room, but we always love seeing friendly faces up here. And I think with this wine, I honestly don't remember how many cases, but I would guess it was maybe 10 or 12 barrels. And with the Chardonnay, we make 4 to 6 barrels. Not really much, but we really focus and cherry pick pieces that we really want. At the end of the day, this is a selection of Clone 828 and just sticks we took, or Ron and Nancy took in 1990 from S&B, and just stuck them in the ground. So lots of own rooted, lots of heritage clones. Yeah, it's a remarkable place.
Very nice. A couple more shots just to give you some perspective here.
Yeah. The one other thing I'll say about Carmel, just to give it its due respect, there are a lot of vineyards in the world where you harvest the fruit and it comes in and everything is beautiful and spotless and uniform and every cluster looks exactly the same. Every grape tastes exactly the same. Everything is just simple and pure coming off the vineyard. Not the case here. And I love it all the more for it. Like I remember picking grapes, picking Chardonnay into FYBs, and there were a couple that just labeled not Chardonnay ? Like there's all sorts of elbows in the fruit and angles in the fruit and sharp edges and green fruit and dark fruit and pink fruit. And it's the some of those parts that makes these wines so ethereal and magical. And it's just one of those things you can't teach. The site just has it.
Yeah, I kind of leaned into that a little bit in my description too. It's like you've tamed the beast. I really think you are the perfect winemaker for this property, and you have such an amazing touch and understanding, and it really comes off here. And it's a really pretty wine, and aging so gracefully. Here's some of the technical data.
Oh man, that's boring, huh?
Yeah, that's an eye chart for you.
Oh no, we made like 15 barrels.
Oh,
Whoa, we were
open up the
blowing out.
floodgates. Yeah.
Huge.
And in fact, we carry this wine on our website. We carry the 15 and the 16 and the 16 Chardonnay.
Ooh, that's good.
And I know the 16s are both completely sold out everywhere else. And the 15 that we're trying today, I can get a little bit more. So if we do sell out and you want some more, come back to me. We can keep ordering it until they tell us we can't, and we can't get any more 16. But this is a great project to know about. And if people want to come and taste these wines, we probably have to arrange for something special, right? Matt, is that a appointment with Drew or somebody?
Yeah. Reach out to Drew. I'd love to come up there and see you. Go take a little field trip up the road. It's up above Sea Smoke, so it ain't easy to get to. You got to really want to head up there, but it's magical. Once you see it, you get it. You can taste it in the air, and it all makes more sense. So come up with a crew, and we'll make a day of it. We'll open some oldies and some young bottles and have a good time.
Mail Road as a name, someone asked where did that come from? Is it because no mailman wanted to go up that road?
Yeah, basically. The road is called Mail Road, and I don't know the story. I wish I did. The story is so kind of deep in other places. I never got down to what the name means, but if I were a mailman, I sure as shit would not want to drive on that road. But yeah, it's cool to taste this. So thanks for this opportunity, and thanks for tuning in, and thanks for including me in a list of such of winemakers who inspire me so deeply. So thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
Always great to have you, sir. That's the amazing Matt Dees. And Melroad also donated 2 bottles of Chardonnay. Oh, actually, is it a Chardonnay and a Pinot? That's what it says.
Yes.
Yeah, Chardonnay and a Pinot from that 16 vintage. So if you want to participate in the auction, get in there. The link is at the very beginning of the chat. If you want to get in there. The auction will stay open until noon on Friday. So we'll have a follow-up email just reminding you that it's going to close and all that stuff. So bid now, and you'll probably get outbid by Friday, but get in there, and you never know what can happen. Lisa Test is on the Zoom tonight, so I guarantee you very few of you have a chance. So go ahead and bid now, because Lisa's here, and she has a history of taking the entire auction. So thank you, Lisa. Well, I'm I honestly always humbled to be able to do this, to sit with guys like Matt and Bruno and Chris and Jeff Nelson and the wonderful folks at Donica, and be able to push some buttons and pull this all together. But I have a wonderful team behind me that helps make this all happen. Little teeny people with teeny fingers that clean those jars, and they're working really well. Hopefully everybody got the jars with the wines, right? Just everybody seeing how they just perform really well as wonderful, slow decanters. And literally when I was putting this together, I was rubbing my fingers together, thinking who could we really get together on this Zoom and do something fun with it? And that's Paul Lotto, who I am going to chat with here for probably the first time on Zoom. But Paul, I'm flattered that you could join us. I'm a big fan. I'm kind of a Paul Lotto freak. I love your wines. I can't tell you enough how much I taste your wines, and as a guy who makes wine, who loves wine, I always find just a little something like wow about your wines. You really have a wonderful touch, and you're super good at what you do.
Ian, thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. I didn't see many participants. My Zoom usage is not that great. I'm still learning about this, but I love it. I think this is a great way to communicate. Thank you so much, Ian. I'm glad to be here, very happy. As you can tell, I have a smile on my face. I've had a few sips of wonderful wines from my colleagues. By the way, 2 great Chardonnays, different style. I appreciate them both. The first one a little bit more generous, the other one more leaner, beautiful acid. Both very, very fine wines. Bruno and Chris have been, they have answered many of my questions. I was annoying them with questions when I was, 20 years ago. I was like, oh, how does this work? How does this work? How is the pump? How does this? And both of them very generously answer questions. And, they answered with a smile. So it was really cool. Matt, thank you very much for nice comments there. I'd like to book an appointment for seeing you at Honada and Mail Road for the next Monday. Those are hard appointments to get. So since you offered, I'm coming no matter what. Let's not even talk about the time. I'm coming. But even better, I thank you for posting those beautiful notes about your winemaking. Very, very open and honest. And my winemaking will get so much better because of you sharing your winemaking notes. Fantastic Pinot Noir. This was really, really great. I enjoy this wine so much. It has the vineyard that you work with. I think it's very special, but you capture the terroir there and you capture the vintage there. I think the 2015 was such a interesting vintage because it has intensity, but it also has this uniqueness. I'm still trying to understand my wines from 2015, but at the same time, what you showed me, your Pinot Noir, it's all there. It has that 2015 intensity. The wines kind of got a little bit drier, and they have intensity, but at the same time they have their own mind. They're in their own league. So I thoroughly enjoyed this wine. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I think a lot of people maybe I'm going to join one of our guests tonight in saying that Helen said it first. She said she loved your wines at Hilliard Bruce, and that's where I think I heard your name for the first time. You were the first winemaker at Hilliard Bruce, I believe.
Yes.
And
kind of. I think Peter Works helped John and Christine before me for a year or two. I'm not sure how the relationship, but Peter definitely started them up actually. So, and he's a friend, and I have great respect for him. So definitely we should give him a tribute for that. But I had this 5 or 6 year tenure there. So, yeah.
I think Helen was on the trip where we went together to Hilliard Bruce and saw that LEED certified facility, and then I tasted the wines and I was, oh, Paul Lotto, I got to find out more. And then I started finding other wines that you made, and and seeing that you have your name on the wines, and so I'm super excited to have you here tonight. We're tasting a Grenache, and I will say I'm sorry, Paul, that I didn't give you the choice of which one we were going to show tonight, because all of your wines are sold out. So I found some Grenache, and I was able to get it on the Zoom. I think I even surprised you that I found some Grenache, and but we want to show some different things tonight. And this will be a fantastic complement to tonight's conversation. But Paul makes some sensational Pinot Noir, and everything that he goes about trying to make, you'll really enjoy. He's a true artist. So let's talk now about this wine as we get into the PowerPoint. And how did you become a winemaker, Paul? I'm very curious.
I answer this question so many times, Ian, and every time I hear it like this, it startles me and brings different answers and different memories. But it is a multi-layered question. But I always like to say that, first of all, I grew up in a family that loves food. Back then in communist Poland, we didn't have access to fine wines, although my grandmother was making wine from blackcurrant, and she did a great job in her own little spectrum. But more importantly, my mother is a great cook. She was a teacher by profession, but she absolutely adored cooking. And she taught me the importance of flavor and the importance of putting ingredients together, and that's how the appreciation of flavor started. And then when I was 22, I was living in Spain, and I was exposed to fine wines. And then I moved to Canada a year later, and I went to hospitality college. So I studied sommelier, and that was my first fascination of understanding of wine on the intellectual level. And 6 years later, or 4 years later, I met Jim Clendenin. And we hit it on, and Jim became a mentor and invited me here to visit Santa Barbara. And that's how this all started, the transition from the sommelier work or sommelier education to winemaking. But I do consider myself, and I'm the first one to admit it, very much of a natural winemaker, in a sense of I respect science. I know a little bit of it, I can tell a little bit of difference between pH and TA on a good day. And I respect basic science, but I'm more of an intuitive winemaker. And I do it from a cooking perspective of my mother, but also of some fine chefs that I work with when I was a sommelier in the restaurant business. So the idea is very simple: buy the best ingredients and don't screw them up.
Well, and you must have a little bit of an element of trusting yourself and trusting your product, because you don't achieve some of the things that you can achieve without taking some risk and pushing it into maybe where some people might be a little uncomfortable. But I think you understand the space you're in, and all your wines seem to be really like, they just seem so consistently built to impress. And I think there's just something behind them that have that little more artisanal touch that I get to experience, and I'm experiencing right now with this beautiful wine. I'd love to get maybe behind that just as quickly as you can. What
Well, listen, as a Polish guy, we are kind of slow, so I'd like to request double time, you know. If everybody gets 8 minutes, I get 16. So please allow me, okay?
I don't think anybody is going to argue with you either.
If I went to the American school system, I would have the individual educational plan. Back then, as communist, you know, they didn't allow me, so I am who I am. But I love talking about things, and you know, this is a fun show. Listen, what was the question anyway?
So we're looking at a slide that talks about wine philosophy, and it was kind of segueing there and saying, okay, so what maybe even you could relate to the wine that we're talking about right now, this Grenache, this single vineyard Grenache. You know, where did you find the headspace? What was the ideas behind it that gave you, you know, confidence to bottle this wine?
Well, let's start from the beginning of the journey. You know, I remember this very vividly. This was a tasting with Robert Parker many years ago, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. And he told me, and you know, he was a big supporter. I really appreciate what he has done for the world of wine and how he supported me with his reviews and not just scores, but more of that, you know, on our meetings that we had every so often when he tasted my wines. He would critique, and he would constructively critique and give me a feedback. And one day he said, look, you know, you definitely have a touch with Pinot Noir, but I would love to see what you can do with Grenache. This is the hardest, most difficult grape to make. And, you know, stupidly, I listened to what he said. and I, you know, look up the vineyards, and you know, we have two Grenaches, which we are pursuing for quite a few years. One is Larner, which we'll not talk about today because we don't have it in a glass, but the other is Bienacido. Here's a beautiful pictures of Bienacido vineyard, very special in Santa Maria. So, you know, I started working with that. This is looking flat. This is actually an old Chardonnay block, I think, that you have here, but it's a striking picture. But the hillside block that we have, it's very steep on this Grenache. Ora et labora. By the way, this is an old Cistercian saying, and it means, in Latin, it means ora, which is praying, and labora means work. And this is all old Cistercian saying. So it kind of encompasses two things that I appreciate and I see in wine. You know, one is to be spiritual and, you know, be in the world of the higher world somewhat. And then you have to keep the feet in the ground, and you have to work, the vineyard, you have to walk the vineyard, you have to get your feet dirty in the ground. So it's a blend between those two worlds that makes sense. And the vine has both of that. You know, on top, it takes the energy from the sun, and at the bottom takes the energy of the earth. As far as this is in general about the wine, obviously. With Grenache, it's been a long journey and a challenging journey. It is a challenging grape. There are some fantastic Grenaches made in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which I admire, you know, Rayaz or Henri Bonneau, several other ones, less famous. Priorat, wonderful wines coming off there, parts of Rioja in Spain. So, but I also find Grenache, there is a certain similarity between Grenache and Pinot Noir, which is my first love. They are, of course, different, but there is definitely a connection there. I remember when we started making with Grenache, after a few years, you know, I understood that I need to understand more and take a different perspective. And, you know, I went to Châteauneuf-du-Pape and talked to the guys, and then I hire a French vineyard consultant who actually lives in California. And I remember, this is kind of funny. He came in, he walked the vineyards, right? He's a big, tall man from Châteauneuf-du-Pape. He walked the vineyards, and he looked by local guys, and he said like this, it's very easy. My friends, it's very easy. You have to do everything the opposite what you're doing, and you'll be fine. So you know, we listen to him. You know, we used to cluster shape, and we used to you know, trim the vines where we would make it more like Pinot Noir look-alike. And we understood that, you know, the Grenache needs to ripen in a little bit more in the shade. So we apply some of those techniques. It's a journey. It is definitely a journey, and it is a relationship that is fulfilling, but is challenging. I think Grenache is a fantastic grape, but it's not easy to make. It produces, you know, trivial wines all over the world in many warm places that I don't care for. But when you get it right, when you get it beautiful, I think it produces, you know, fantastic wines of hopefully profoundness and pleasure. I always look for wine. You know, I come from the restaurateur sommelier background, so I always look. I want wines to give pleasure, because I think that's what we want. When we go to a restaurant and we eat, we look for pleasure. And then, of course, in wine, there is another dimension, and this is the intellectual enjoyment. And I want both of those, you know, in my wines.
Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. It and everything that you're saying just kind of dials right back to the wine and all connects. I know, you know, producers, you know, some great producers throughout history have made some really profound wines from the Bienaceto vineyard. Producers like Cinquenan, Alban, and maybe I don't know what, you know, 2018 is what we're tasting today, how many efforts you have made with this grape, but are you going to continue?
Well, I certainly hope so. You know, it's a journey, and I was thinking about your wonderful name of your you know, company, LearnAboutWine. And I tell you, I mean, I've been making wine for 20 years, and, you know, drinking wine much longer, and studying wine as a sommelier for 10 years before that, 20 years, and I'm still learning about wine. Every day is a new day, and we have to put ourselves in that situation when we admit that, hey, you know, we don't know everything. We know this and we know that. So it's definitely a journey, and Grenache is something that makes me more humble. I enjoy it. On occasion, I get frustrated, but I think we did quite well with this one. I enjoyed this one very much. It has structure, it has aromatics, structure, and most of all, it has texture, which I think is something, the hallmark of my wines that I try to achieve, that, you know, the tactile dimension. And this is something that you cannot have in the wine if it's not made with integrity. And, you know, we pay attention to viticulture very much. We sort in the vineyard, we sort at the winery. We are a little bit kind of compulsive, obsessive about that. I guess I should use the word I in that case. So I'm a little bit compulsive, obsessive about that. And it's a journey. And, you know, I hope, of course, I hope to continue and have fun with this. Yeah.
Well, I carry your Pinot Noir and love it as well. The Seabiscuit has been one of my favorites to recommend. And I was really excited to be able to get some of this, and it's not disappointing at all. And I am a person who, like you and like so many others, had those early experiences with wines like Chateauneuf du Pape, like Reyes. I think it was literally the first wine that I ever smelt that I didn't smell wine anymore. I smelt something else. And it was
multi-dimensional.
Yes, and it's exactly what I was going to say about it was perfect. It's like when you taste simple wines, you get 1 or 2 dimensions. When you taste better wines, you get 3 and maybe 4, and you start to, not only see it, feel it, taste it, but it opens up ideas in your mind and has something else going on. And I think you just have to have passion to be able to taste it like that. You have to be a little crazy for wine. But once you get there and you get a wine like this, and so many of the other ones I've tasted from you, they excite, and they excite people like myself. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ian. Great to be here with all of you guys. I wish I could see faces and, give you guys hugs, and that's what we do here at the winery. Thanks for including me, and thank you for being part of a wonderful community of Santa Barbara County. I think, Matt D said it so well. We might not see each other, every day, but it is a special community, and I feel very privileged and very happy to be part of it. Thank you so much.
Well, go up to that right-hand corner and hit the gallery, see some more faces. I took off the spotlight for a second so everybody can potentially see a little bit more of who's out there. And I just wanted to, before we go to our 6th and final wine and have yet another great experience, say hi to Helen and Susan and Lisa and Caroline. Thank you very much. Natalie, Lori, Thomas, Ray, and Barb, David, Colette. Thank you so much. Good to see you. And some of you I can't see, but I can see your names, that you've been so supportive for so long. And it's just great to have such a wonderful audience. We were actually sold out tonight, and we don't often sell out Zooms. But the factor isn't how many people we can get on the Zoom, it's how many jars we can fill and get out the door. And so it was quite a nice feat to have over 60 sets out there in the marketplace, and I hope you guys are all enjoying these wines. I think it also kind of leaves yet another impression in my mind of just how far Santa Barbara has come. These are not just good wines for Santa Barbara, these are incredible wines, and they're really standing out tonight. And I'm super excited to finish with an amazing Syrah. Sometimes it sucks to be last, but tonight we get to really spotlight a couple of fantastic ladies, Camins to Dreams. I'm so happy to have you guys here. We kind of met on a kind of a spontaneous moment on a Zoom. I was leading for a Rhone Rangers event.
Yeah, I believe a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and we tasted your wine, and I was tasting with a bunch of great producers, but I was like, wow, how come I haven't heard of this before? And I had to get in a little bit closer and find out more. And I bought as much of this wine as I could from you guys. We only have a little bit left. So I'm not sure you guys have any left, but it is
a little bit left too.
Okay. Good, because I want to come in again, get a little bit more.
There's I think like 6 cases at the winery, so hurry up.
All right, I'm ready. Consider sell me as much of that as you will, because I want to own this wine. And we do love your story. So why don't I let you guys talk about how you got to where you are now, and take it away.
Sure. Well, thank you. Just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for having us tonight. So good to be able to see everybody, and also to, once again, the winemakers. As everybody has already said, yeah, we don't see each other very often, but it's so great to be able to see everyone on Zoom. So thank you for that. How we got started. I'll talk a little bit about myself first, and then Mireille could talk a little bit about herself. But for me, it all started at a very young age, at the age of 4, when I got my first Fisher-Price microscope set. So looking at nature for me was something that I really love to do through the microscope. And then from there, it grew in a chemistry set. So science was, I think, always a part of me growing up. And it was something that I knew in grade school, that this was the direction I wanted to go. And so went to Fresno State, graduated out of the enology program, worked at a couple wineries, Fess Parker, J. Lore, and then came back to start up Kita Wines with my Chumash tribe. And so started that in 2010. And then in 2017, we started Camins to Dreams, Mireille and I.
Yeah, and for me, I'm originally from Spain. So it was a combination also of science, but also food, growing up in Spain and in a family that we live really close to the Pyrenees, and my great grandparents planted a vineyard back in the time just to make wine at home. So I remember since I was a kid, always having wine on the table, food, lunch, dinner, breakfast. So I love pairing it with food and tasting it. And when it was time to go to school, I went to study chemistry because I love science too, and I love chemistry. And from there, went to enology. And in 2006, I think it was, when I finished my enology program, I came as an intern to United States, LearnAboutWine Winery in Paso Robles, and that's how I met Tara. And after that, I went back to Spain and worked there as a winemaker until I moved back here in 2014. So in 2014, I moved here, and in 2017, we started Camins to Dreams.
Beautiful. And I know you guys are one of the newer kids on the block still, but you guys have a beautiful tasting room. It's at the extreme, what would I say? That's the extreme west side of Lompoc.
We're like in Midtown now, where the production facility is. We're actually right next door to Brewery Clifton. As a reference, it's probably where people knows where to find us. But we are actually ready to open a tasting room in the next month in the Wine Ghetto. So that's going to be a little bit better for foot traffic.
All right, cool. Well, that's important. You got to be where the people are. Sometimes you get too far out there and it's hard to get people to come and visit you. But I'm very happy to report that every time I open this bottle, sometimes you buy wine, and I'm sure everybody can relate. You buy a wine and you take it home, you put it away, you pull it out, and you have a memory of what you experienced before. And then you open it and you're like, it's not as good as I remember it being. But that is not the case with your wine. And again, this is like my third time in the last 3 years I've opened it, and or two plus years and open it, and it always keeps delivering this really cool presentation for Syrah. I like it because it is something that you can really sink your teeth into and enjoy, and it's very drinkable, very lush and very Syrah and very Santa Barbara all at the same time. It checks a lot of boxes for me. It's got fantastic color, and the nose is just what does it for me. I don't even actually need to drink it. In fact, I'm just going to dab it behind my ears. It's super beautiful, super beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And this is
actually I was just going to say that the 2017 vintage, so that was like our first vintage, and that actually started with Zodovich Vineyard, 2 barrels we started with, and so yeah, that's what started Camins to Dreams. So this is our second vintage off of Zodovich Vineyard.
Excellent. Well, how's it going? Are you still making Zodovich?
Yes, we are. We just released our 2021 vintage. That's actually the vintage that we have in the market. We don't have 19 or 20. So only a few cases of the 18 and already selling the 2021. And it's a vineyard that our focus at Commits to Dreams is mainly on Shiraz and Gruner from Santa Rita Hills. We make every year 3 different Gruners, 3 different Shiraz. But Sotovich, it's always, I think, really special for us just because it was the first wine that we made together. It's the wine that we started with, but also it always great to work with that vineyard. The Syrah block that we get from Sotovich, it's in the slope, and it was planted a little later in 2014, I believe. So it was still young when we started making wine of this vineyard, but we love it every year. It's always like really perfect fruit, and it always gives us like more like that spiciness, white pepper characteristic that we love from kind of like Northern Rhone style of Syrah. And then it's always like really bright and fresh, and it has all like this natural acidity that we get in Santa Rita Hills. So we definitely love this vineyard.
Here you are working.
Here we are, yep.
Yeah, that's our winery.
And probably that was Syrah.
Yeah.
Tell that purple color down there. Yeah.
And this is Sotovich Vineyard. And I believe it was actually 2018. And we were picking so late in 2018 because it was like such a cool vintage. It never really warmed up. And it was like at the beginning of November that we were picking this Syrah. So
Wow.
really late, yeah.
I tend to remember that. Yeah. It was just, you never got a hot day. Kept
Never
waiting.
got a hot day, no. Yeah. And our style of making Syrah, it's always, someone is saying it's very light for a Syrah. And that's really what we look for when we make our wines. Our Syrah is really kind of, we like let the fruit speak for itself, and we don't want to extract too much. We really want just like that more like subtle or elegant aromatics with still a lot of layers. But yeah, we don't want like wines that are like,
we're very gentle
Yeah.
with it, so we do a lot of foot stomping, and no pump overs, just a little bit of foot stomping and some punch downs as it gets towards the end, but just treading it very lightly and not to extract too much, because the grapes themselves are very juicy as well, very dark in color.
Mhm.
so they don't really need that much extraction. Try to ferment at really low temperature and yeah, just make it like really fruit friendly style of Syrah.
Well, at your price point too, I will say, I find your wine kind of a perfect fit for a store like mine too, Archana Wine, where there's wines out there that I can almost not even carry because they're so broadly distributed and there's no margin to be able to sell them. And that's one of my struggles as a wine shop owner that you probably don't need to know about. But but you find a wine like this that you can really get behind and offer it at around $50 or less, and it is being picked up by people all over the country. Maybe there are people that come and visit you, and I'm just one of the few people that have it. So I love that about being able to turn people on to something new and to really believe in it. And so it's great for me. It checks every box that I have and stuff that I am looking for, wines that I'm looking for. And so it allows us to succeed as well. So you're making a wine that I really, really enjoy, and I'm super excited to have you guys here today and to be able to share it with everybody. And I think it's showing great. Did you get a set delivered to you? Are you tasting your wine tonight?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, we are.
Right, it's showing great, right out of that little decanter. It's just showing so well, and really in a good spot. And so I hope you guys will support. I also want to thank you guys for making a wonderful donation of 2 bottles. One is the Gruner Veltliner, and also a bottle of the 21 Sotovich Syrah to the auction. So that's in there as well. And I kind of cut off Paul Lotto and forgot to thank him for, and if he's still on the Zoom, I want to do
Of
that.
course I am. Of course.
Paul, you gave a really generous donation on the auction lot too, and gave a magnum of the Grenache that we're tasting tonight on the Zoom as well. Now the problem for everybody else is that I'll be in there bidding on that too, so just stay tuned on that one. I'll go in after the Zoom and give you guys some competition. So get in there, make it too expensive for me, so because my wife will be upset if I buy it.
Thank you, Ian. I would not be myself if I didn't try to jump in here. I just wanted to say to all the girls here, fantastic Syrah, beautiful. And I love Zotovich Vineyard. We made beautiful Pinot with this, and Steve has been very supportive over the years. There was when he bought the vineyard, there was a big turnaround on that. So, but this is a delightful wine. What a phenomenal, so much pleasure definition. It is. Ian, I'm complaining. This is not the size.
It's not enough.
This is. I want a magnum of this, okay? Just for myself in the evening, to celebrate Chris's birthday. From Chris Karen's birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to Chris.
Happy birthday, Chris, and thank you for this wine.
That's so cool. Well, I don't want to cut you off if there's anything further from you ladies, but I do encourage people to come out and venture out and taste wineries that you've never seen before, and go and see the ladies at Cabins to Dreams in their new tasting room. And you have a wonderful wine club as well, right?
We do, yes.
About it.
Well,
we have a 3-bottle and a 6-bottle wine club shipped in the spring and in the fall.
A couple of questions that, and I want to thank you guys. A couple of questions that were coming down the pipeline here that I wanted to see is first of all, there is a discount code that was mailed out to everybody tonight. So go through the shopping process at Merchant of Wine, select whatever you like. And as you're checking out, there'll be a discount spot there. If for any reason you have a hard time checking out, you can purchase and just send me a note and say, Ian, I had a hard time checking out and getting the discount. I'll fix it. That's how small of a little operation we are. I will fix it. And then I will pack that order myself when it comes in. So, but we have a wonderful team here. We all work together. And if there's a mistake ever in your shipment, it's probably from me. So it's done with love. And for those of you that are joining us for the first time tonight, I hope this won't be your last experience with us. We have a number of other things that we have coming up, and I want to just thank all the producers that were with us tonight, and hope that you all got a chance to taste each other's wines and do some cool stuff. And it was just really great to get you all together. When we do these Zooms, and we do them every Wednesday, we have a different Zoom, but once a month we put together something special like this. And I say this is a pinnacle effort for us tonight. So you guys all made it very, very special. Of course, our primary angle is the auction, which I'm going to once again paste the link into the chat box so everybody has it. Make sure I got that there. There we go. One more time into the chat box in case you guys missed it earlier and you don't know where it's at, but it's also should be in your documents now. I'm not quite sure if that's true though. So just put it in the chat box, grab it while you can, because once the Zoom's over, that goes away. But a couple of very cool upcoming tastings that we have on Zoom is my tasting next week of my top wines of 2022. I've got hundreds of top wines from last year, but these are all wines that we still have the ability to offer people. And I think you'll be really impressed with some of the wines that we're going to taste you on next week. There are 7 wines next week, but it's just me. If we involve the winemakers and everything, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. And so we'll be going fairly quickly. We'll be in and out in about an hour, and we'll be covering quite a bit of ground. Coming up on February 8th, we actually do live events as well. And if you're in Los Angeles, we'll be at Tess Restaurant on February 8th with a game that we call the Rhone Warriors. It's basically going to be 11 top producers coming together at Tess from 7 to 9. There's a VIP ticket that you can buy, and I kind of like scratch my head, but Tess is doing a dinner, and then we do the tasting, and you can get a VIP ticket for $125 that includes the dinner and a ticket to the tasting for $125. I just ate at a new restaurant last night here in LA called Steak 48. It was fantastic, but my bill was huge. And to be able to do both our tasting and the dinner at Tess for $125 is a great value proposition. And the list of wineries that we have at the Rhone Warriors is pretty amazing. So come out and visit us on Wednesday, February 8th. We have a whole calendar of stuff that's coming down the pipeline. I'm promoting this really fun dinner in March called the 100-point dinner, and it's literally 21 wines that got 100 points. We are taking a group of people to Sicily at the end of April. We are promoting little champagne experiences, even though our next one is sold out. The champagne with Howland Rays is sold out today. So we've got a lot of fun stuff that we're putting together. Stay in touch. You don't have to do it all, but just come and visit us every once in a while. It's great to see so many regular faces, but if this was your first time tonight, I hope it's not the last. Thank you all again. I'm going to hang out here for a minute and just shoot the shit with people. If you want to drink your wine with me, I'll just be here for a minute just to say hi. But otherwise, I'm going to sign off and say thank you to everyone. Get out of here, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good night. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Ian. Cheers to all of you guys. Good night.
See you, Paul. See you, Ian. Great lineup. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Natalie, thanks so much. Lori, thank you guys. Caroline, thank you for joining us. Hope you had a good time. Thanks for all the comments tonight. My God, I couldn't keep up with the chat box. It was crazy. I hope some good things were accomplished. But yeah, a lot going on there.
Ian, good wines, good comments.
Yeah,
this was incredible.
Oh, awesome. You know, when you pull so many great things together, great things happen. It's just kind of a formula.
This was very special.
All I could do is screw it up.
No, we were looking forward to this, and it was great.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much, guys. You got a nice little group there. Is that Phil Hockey? Is that what that said? I think you guys are gone. Oh, there you are, Philip.
Sure.
Oh, yes. There you are. Good to see you, man.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks all for being in there. Did you guys enjoy the wines?
Yep. That was great. Yeah, I had a great time. And Jen's got a Liquid Farm t-shirt on right now. So.
All right. Sweet. Erica, when are you going to buy that vineyard in Santa Barbara? Is that going to happen?
Working on it.
All right. Cool. Doug was a Los Angelino. He left Los Angeles, went to Santa Barbara, opened a wine shop, right, Doug? Oh, you're on mute right now, but let's get you
Yes,
off.
that's correct. Yes. Now I live up here in Goleta, and it's awesome.
Fantastic. I'm so happy for you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations, Doug. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Everyone, come on up.
Yeah, I will say we're still kind of sore around here because Doug was one of our biggest customers during the pandemic. And all of a sudden I'm like, where did Doug go? He's like, I opened a wine store. Like, no. Oh.
Well, you have great, fantastic wines in your shop. So
100%.
yeah, always good. And these tastings, these Zoom meetings are fantastic. I love them. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Well, it was wonderful to spend the evening with you guys. Paul, anything you want to say to I see you still hanging out there. Did you taste it? You tasted through all the wines. Did you have any impressions on any of those, Paul?
Oh, sure. I have a lot of impressions. I tasted them before the session, so I was really well prepared.
Okay.
That was my homework. No, but on the serious note, beautiful wines, and I'm 20 years down the road. I still feel somewhat of a newcomer or outsider or something like that, and I could not think of any other place in the world that I would rather be than in Santa Barbara. And part of it is the vineyards and the soil and terroir, whatever. But big chunk of it is the people. And being part of that community, as Matt stated, it's a privilege. And I could not be doing what I'm doing with all the challenges that I've had, starting with so little, $50,000 20 years ago when I was 34, my all life savings. There was no plan B. There was all about, do it all or vanish. And from perspective, I understand that how much support I got from the community, which I always appreciated. So thank you for this invitation, and it was great to be part of all of you guys. And those wines were truly, every single one was special. It was unique, it was honest, and it was delicious.
That's cool. Well, yeah, it was that way for me for sure. And just the personalities make these type of things worth it. I will say, we could get together in a room and do this, but I think sometimes Zoom can work out pretty fantastically. Being able to pull people from all over the country tonight. We had kits going to places. I don't even know if it was legal I sent them, but we got them out, and it was it was really fun to see people from far away get involved. And it's just really great to, this is the community I love, being able to taste wine with people and see their reactions, their comments, and it feeds me. So thank you guys all. And we will be continuing all of 2023. We keep rolling it out a little bit stronger each day. We've hired a couple of additional team members. We don't get rich doing what we do, but we lead very happy lives here. So thank you guys for keeping us busy. Anyway, take advantage of that discount. It's good until tomorrow night. A Merchant of Wine. Come and visit us for future Zooms. There will be some big announcements in the next couple of days about some other incredible gatherings. But we've been working really hard to get here today, and I want to thank my team for getting us all the way through. So have a good night, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the other side.